Have you ever told yourself, "I'll start tomorrow"? It's a comforting little lie, isn't it? It pushes our dreams just a little further down the road. Well, let me tell you a story about a man named Daniel who lived his life by that very motto. In a small American town, Daniel had a strict routine. Every morning at exactly 6, he'd wake up and sit at a wooden table by his window. And every morning he'd stare at the old clock on the wall. The clock was broken. Its hands were frozen at 10 minutes past 10. It hadn't ticked in years, but Daniel never fixed it. Friends and neighbors would often ask, "Daniel, why don't you get that clock repaired?" He would just smile and say, "It reminds me of something important." You see, years ago, Daniel was full of big dreams. He wanted to write a best-selling novel, start his own little business, and travel to every corner of the globe. But life, as it does, got in the way. He was always busy. "I'll start tomorrow," he'd promise himself. But tomorrow turned into next week, and next week stretched into next year. His dreams were always waiting for a right time that never seemed to arrive. Then, one day, tragedy struck. Daniel's father passed away. While sorting through his father's belongings, Daniel found an old, worn-out notebook. On the first page, in his father's shaky handwriting, was a single heartbreaking sentence. "I waited for the right time, and it never came." The words hit Daniel like a tidal wave. That very same day, as if by some strange coincidence, the old clock in his house stopped ticking. The hands froze at 10:10. From that moment on, Daniel left the clock exactly as it was. It became a monument to his own inaction, a silent daily reminder of all the time he had wasted waiting. It was a symbol of his own paused life. One evening, a young boy from the neighborhood named Ethan stopped by. He was a curious kid, and his eyes immediately landed on the silent clock. "Sir," he asked, "why doesn't your clock move?" Daniel looked at the boy, his voice barely a whisper. "Because I didn't move when I should have." Ethan just frowned, confused. "But time keeps going, right?" Daniel nodded slowly. "Yes, Ethan, time always moves. We're the ones who don't." That night, Daniel couldn't sleep. The boy's simple question echoed in his mind. For the first time in years, he faced a painful but powerful truth. The clock wasn't what was truly broken. His courage was he had been using the clock as an excuse, a way to punish himself for his past inaction, instead of using his present to change his future. The very next morning, something inside him shifted. He woke up before sunrise, but instead of sitting at his usual spot, staring at the broken clock, he walked over to a dusty old laptop. He opened it, and with a deep breath, he began to type. He wrote the first sentence of the book he had dreamed of for so long. He didn't wait for inspiration. He didn't wait for the perfect moment. He just showed up day after day. Days melted into weeks, and weeks turned into months. Daniel wrote with a discipline he never knew he had, fueled by the memory of his father's regret and his own revelation. Exactly 1 year later, his book was published. On the day of his book launch, with his published novel in his hands, Daniel walked over to the old clock. He carefully opened it up and fixed it. For the first time in years, the steady, rhythmic ticking filled the quiet room. A few days later, Ethan visited again. He saw the moving hands and his face lit up. Daniel smiled, a genuine, happy smile. "The clock moves now," he said. "Because I do too." So let me ask you again. What are you putting off until tomorrow? That broken clock isn't just a story about Daniel. It's a mirror for all of us. Time is always moving. The only question is, are you moving with it? Thanks for watching. If this story resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe for more content that makes you think. See you next time.